You're listening to the Dental Zone podcast. I'm Dr. Rachel Hall. This is the place that supports you to understand your dental issues, the causes and how to prevent them, empowering each individual to get the most out of life while bearing a stunning smile. Hello, I'm Dr. Rachel Hall, holistic dentist from Brisbane, Australia. I'm a dentist with over 30 years experience and have been practicing holistically since 2001 and have my own dental office in Kenmore in Brisbane. I want to talk to you about the impacts of health and well-being on your dental health and vice versa. And today we're going to be focusing on the pillars of good health. You can find out more by jumping over to holisticdentistry.au. But for now, let's get in the zone. Today I'm going to be talking about the pillars of health and why your dentist should care about that and how a dentist can support you to be healthy and well. After all, that's part of holistic dentistry. We're living in a society that believes if you can put it in your mouth, you can eat it and it's food. Well, just because you can ingest something doesn't mean you can digest it or that it's even good for you or your health. More and more, we're learning the importance of optimal nutrition and how that relates to our health. And by optimal nutrition, we mean getting all the vitamins, minerals, good fats, proteins, everything that you need for your body to be fit and healthy, not calories or kilojoules if you want to measure them that way. So we've seen this war that's been waging for the last 50 years about sugar versus fat. And these different camps and how they feel in regards to health. When it came to heart disease, we were told that fat was the enemy. At great cost. The war was won by the sugar industry at great cost to humanity. And in the last 50 years, we've had low-fat diets, low-fat this, diets that are high in carbohydrates, yet heart disease is still prevalent. It's the number one killer. There are so many people having heart attacks and suffering from heart disease and coronary vascular disease problems. But now the tide is turning and we're starting to look at low carb, healthy fat living. And it's a new ideology and it's finding its voice and it's bringing amazing results to health. Yet globally, authorities are trying to silence doctors from promoting this way of eating. We've had Gary Fettke here in Australia and the likes of Tim Noakes in South Africa. And these people have been dragged through their legal bodies for saying we should be eating low carb and healthy fat diets, and that these sort of diets have been shown to support in reversing things like type 2 diabetes. And the problem is here we've got the food industry, dietary associations who are being sponsored by big food companies and sugar industries. And so it's about time that globally we took back our way of eating so that we can be healthy and fit. And, I'm very anti-sugar because it causes tooth decay, but not only that, it's causing high risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, dementia. There are so many chronic health conditions now that are related to sugar content, fatty liver disease for one. So if we start to look at the way we eat and what nature intends as nutrition and apply some common sense, then this is going to support us to be healthy. Now, the problems with obesity and lifestyle disease, it's out of control. 2/3 of the global population are overweight. 2/3. And we worry about third world countries being malnourished, but we should be worrying about first world countries being overweight, obese, and yet they are still malnourished because we are missing out on essential nutrients. There is great risk, an increased risk of developing lifestyle-related disease if you are overweight. And if you're overweight, you're more likely to develop health problems like diabetes and the complications that go with it. So I'm a big fan of low carb living and eating real food. And this means that in this way, these health issues should be avoidable. But what we're seeing instead is increasing misinformation regarding our diet and our lifestyle. And this is increasing ill health conditions that I believe are preventable and avoidable. So I'm talking about the pillars of health. I'm going to bang on a little bit about food because it's something that we can control so easily. If we've got excess blood glucose from food, it goes into areas of our body and it causes damage. If we eat in a way where we don't consume excess sugar, then we're not going to end up another case on the rising scale of diabetes rates. I mean, it is frightening how many people are diabetic, type 2 diabetes I'm talking about here, or pre-diabetic where they've got high blood sugars that are not controlled. So there's generally 6 pillars of health. Some will say there's more or less, but for me, I think there's 6. And if you can work on these 6 areas, then you're going to improve your outcome for living a long and healthy life, avoiding lifestyle diseases, having a great healthy smile as well. So these pillars are, I'm going to just list them out for you. Nutrition, and here I mean the right fuel, things that your body needs. Just like your car, you put the right petrol in. So we're not talking about processed foods or chemicals here. Talking about food, real food, the way nature intended. There's exercise, that's really important to keep your body active. Sleep helps you repair and regenerate. Stress management. Now we live in a society that's quite stressful. You know, people are working long hours, we're bombarded with technology and we're on the go all the time, and that stresses our body. Stress releases chemicals and hormones that age you and damage your cells, and that leads to inflammation and ill health. We also need to look at our relationships and the way we communicate, and also our genetics. Now, genetics is what you've been given. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to end up with, say, heart disease, for example, if that runs in your family. Even if you're predisposed to a condition, you've got to switch those genes on. So in my family, there's heart disease. Really tragically, my dad died when he was 47 from heart disease. Yet I do not have any markers of heart disease. My cholesterol's all within normal limits, don't have any calcification of my arteries, everything's in good working order, because I live in a way that does not predispose my genes to switch on for heart disease. So those genes get switched on by the way we live, and this is called epigenetics. Your lifestyle choices trigger your genes. So, as I said, if you come from a family with a history of heart disease and you choose a healthy lifestyle, you're much less likely to develop the condition because you're not triggering and switching those genes on. So let's look at relationships. We are by nature social creatures. We are meant to live in tribes, in community groups, and we're supposed to collaborate and be in community. It has been proven that isolation, or even feeling isolated, makes people more prone to disease. Now, there are a lot of people now who are single. They live on their own. We work in little cubicles on computers, and we don't really chat very much during our days, and we don't have a lot of physical contact. Now, everyone, can say that social media is a bad thing and we're spending too much on our phones, and I would tend to agree. However, if social media is used in a way to build connection, meaning, social contact, and have positive interactions, it can actually be quite good for you, particularly in this society where, as I said, we're quite isolated. We draw strength from our relationships, our personal relationship, our relationship with God or a higher being, our relationships with our family and our local community, and further and wide-reaching relationships. We like a sense of belonging, and we like a sense of unity and oneness, and it's our natural way of being. World consciousness and information, is no longer controlled by the church, politics, media, or the news. We are now our own journalists, and we control our interactions and our information. We are a global community. But having said that, we can't just live in a virtual world. We do actually need physical touch. We need that contact. And that's why, as blasé, as cliche, as it may seem, having a cat or a dog and having that companionship and somebody to pat actually helps us feel better. So we need that physical touch. We need that care. We can't live entirely in a virtual world of the internet and technology. So let's form relationships that are healthy, where they're emotionally strong and we can communicate our feelings and be vulnerable with one another. And in our relationships, I'm going to include here our relationship with God or a higher being, a sense of there being more, that their life has purpose and meaning, and that is very beneficial to health. So we've looked at genetics. I've had a little talk about nutrition, which I'm going to come back to. We've looked at relationships, and I'm going to look at another pillar now, stress. And by stress, I mean our emotional and physical stresses. So the worries of life, dealing with work, and how we relate to the world by our reactions and responses determine whether and how much stress we experience. So you can put people in the same situation, and some will feel stressed and some won't feel stressed, because it's how we interpret it and how we react and deal with life that lets us know whether we're stressed or not. Now, I'm a dentist. That is a high stress job. We're dealing with fine, intricate work in a living human being's mouth. That person's usually fearful and anxious. We're dealing with time pressure. We're looking after our business, our team, and all the things that are going on. Yet, I don't feel that stressed. I talk to my colleagues and they're ripping their hair out and feeling very, very tense. But for me, I stay in the moment and I breathe and I'm with my body, I'm with the person that I'm working with, and I let things just kind of wash over me. And like, you know what? Little things in life are not important. Perhaps losing a parent when I was only 20 helps me put things into perspective, because when things do get a bit intense, I go, you know what? Let's just step back here. Nobody's died. Nobody's going to die. It's okay. We will take care of it and just deal with it in the moment. But that's me. And I used to be a real stress bunny. So, by dealing with my own health and my relationships and how I am every day helps me not only manage stress, but not feel stress. And to me, that's very important. So when we experience stress, our body releases cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Now, too much cortisol will lead us to struggle with our health and our weight. So we need to address stress. I mean, when you're stressed, your mind's whirring, you eat rubbish because you just crave sugar and salt and crap. You don't sleep well, you don't exercise. Everything that you know is good for you just goes out of the window. And then your cortisol goes up and up and up. So if we don't address stress, we're going to gain weight and we're going to lose health. So what's the solution to stress? Well, say no to stuff. Don't take it all on. And if you are stressed, then seek support. Have the ability to recognize, be aware of what stresses you and be prepared for it. And don't just manage it and just go, oh, yeah, I'm stressed, but I'll get through. We've got to live in a way where the impact of life does not affect us so readily. So I'm going to say to you, take one day at a time and find things that help you get things into perspective. Like I said, nobody's going to die because you were late paying a bill or that you've got a bill due. And yes, I know it stresses you, but is it worth making yourself sick for? I don't think so. So, look at your stress levels and see how you can reduce that. I mean, I am crazy. I run 2 businesses. I have my dental practice. I like to do a lot of social media. I've got a family. I like to enjoy life. I hang out with my friends and go surfing and those sort of things. I do a lot of work for social media. I write for a lot of websites and I work long days. But when I feel it's all coming in, I put things to one side and I come back to what's important to me, what makes me feel chilled out, what makes me smile and feel at ease. And that's how I get things into perspective. Another thing that's really important, not just only for health, but for dealing with stress, is your sleep. And I'm talking about quality of sleep here, not how many hours. I mean, I know people who can sleep 10 hours and they wake up and they feel awful because they're not rested. Their body's not recharging. It's not shutting down properly. And so it's about how do you get quality sleep. So one of the things we do is with babies is we give them a bath and we swaddle them, we get them all warm and cuddled, we read them a story, stroke their hair, and these things signal to the brain, this is winding down, I'm getting ready for sleep, I'm getting ready for bed, and it switches the rhythms in the body and the brain waves start to slow down and the blood pressure drops and we're getting all sleepy and the breath slows down and then they sleep really well. And we lose that ability. As adults, we're like, go, 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 I've got to do this, got to do that, I've got to finish this, got to check that email, make this phone call, get my dinner, watch a movie, blah, 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 blah. And then bedtime, and we wonder why we can't sleep, because the body's just like a kid on a bloody party that has had too much sugar. You're just revved. And you're thinking that you can go from driving 100 kilometres an hour to boom, red light, stop. No, you need time to slow down, otherwise you're going to go straight through the traffic light. It's the same with sleep. You need to let your body wind down. So you need to support your body to be ready for sleep. Turn the lights down a bit lower, signal to your brain that it's actually nighttime. Step away from your computer screens. Just avoid that blue light that's coming off our screens, because that blue light's saying, it's the middle of the day, I should be wide awake. Whereas we need to turn those lights down, signal to the brain that it is nighttime, stop doing so much stuff and just relax. And look, if you're tired, take a nap. Have a nap in the day if you need it, 10 minutes, half an hour, just get that rest. And look, early to bed, early to rise is really the most supportive sleep rhythm for your body. Look, I know people tell me, oh, but I'm a night owl. No, you're not. You have conditioned yourself to be a night owl. You go to bed late, so then you get up late, and then you don't rest, so you can't get to sleep. Whereas if you just experiment for a bit, try winding down, not doing so much, and going to bed a little bit earlier, and see what happens, see how you sleep. I used to be tired all the time, no matter how much sleep I had, because I was just too on the go. I didn't wind down, I didn't sleep well. And so when I first started going to bed earlier, I slept for hours and hours and hours and hours. It was like my body's like, just got to catch up. We're just so sleep depleted. And then after a while, I find that I need less and less sleep, and I wake really refreshed and recharged, and I get to sleep really quickly. 5-10 minutes, boom, I'm gone. It's the sleep of the innocent, as my friends call it, and I'm awake, I'm up early, I get a lot done before the day even starts, and I'm up watching the sunrise, and it's just magical. I suggest you give it a try. I found it really, really supportive for my own health. So find that sleep rhythm that works for you. Wind down, switch off those blue lights, practice what they call good sleep hygiene. So next pillar that we're going to talk about for good health is exercise. Now, I used to be a nutcase. I was a triathlete. Sorry, triathletes, I'm not saying you're all nutcases, but I was. I used to exercise too hard, too much, too intensely, and I was wrecking my body and making myself sick, because training like that is stress on the body. Cortisol goes up and you're breaking the body down more than it can repair. So what sort of exercise is right for your body, and how much exercise do we really need? Well, this is such a hot topic. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Look, I'm lifting instruments all day that weigh similar to a pen. I don't need to be going down the gym and pumping iron so that I can lift heavy weights or training to run a marathon. I need to be fit for life and fit for my day. I need to be able to support my body, to have good posture and good core strength. Obviously I don't want to get fat and flabby. I want to have some good muscle tone. I don't want to be all hunched over like I see a lot of old people leaning on their shopping trolleys. But we used to do work where we had lots of manual labour and we did a lot of walking. But now we sit at desks. We sit a lot. We sit down a lot during our day. I've got one of these smartwatches. It reminds me I need to get up and stand and have a walk around. What have we come to when that's what we need to do? That my watch has to tap me and go, you need to stand. You've been sitting on your bum for too long. But this is how we live. We take our cars everywhere. My God, my son, if he has to walk more than 250 metres, he's moaning. We didn't have a car when we were kids, couldn't afford it, walked everywhere. But that's my life. And we walked everywhere. So we used to get a lot of incidental activity during our day, and we're not getting that anymore. We're sat on our bums, we're down on the screen, we're remote controlling. The only time we get up is to go for a wee or have a snack, and then we're eating the wrong things, and we're not drinking enough water, so we're not weeing often enough. And so we're not getting that incidental activity anymore. And look, exercising to lose weight doesn't really work. We need to change our diet, and we need to be more active if we want to lose weight. So what I'm saying for you for exercise is exercise gently. Don't be straining your body. Be active and keep your body and your mind healthy. Get up, get out for a walk, go swimming, do some weight training, keep your muscle mass up, do light weights with lots of reps, go cycling, kayaking, surfing, just get outdoors, go do something. Housework keeps you fit. I hate housework. There's my disclaimer. I am not a domestic goddess. I do not like housework, but it's activity. It's about keeping the body moving, and that will work for your body. You don't have to push to extremes to be fit. So we've talked about sleep, relationships, genetics, exercise, and stress. And now I'm going to talk about nutrition. With nutrition, this is something that you have the ultimate control over. Nobody else is putting food in your mouth except for you. You can have control over this, and you can change what you eat right now. You can get the right fuel in your tank consistently. You can invest in your health now and for the future through what you eat. It's simple. Avoid junk and processed food. They are not going to give you optimal nutrition. If you've got stuff in packets with long lists of ingredients that looks like something from the chemistry lab, that is not food. I'm talking real food the way nature intended. Meat, chicken, fish, eggs, fruit, vegetables. Simple, clean eating. For the last 40, 50 years, we have been indoctrinated and talked about low-fat diets. We have ended up eating too much sugar, and it hasn't worked. Obesity has gone through the roof. Heart disease, diabetes, and cancer are the number one health issues. They are lifestyle related, they are preventable, and they are avoidable. We have been given and followed bad advice, and now we're paying the price. We're paying the price with our health. A lot of this was due to the sugar industry funding science. They did not want science to show that sugar was to blame not only for tooth decay, but for a lot of our chronic health issues. So let's just step back here for a moment. Advice is to parents when they've got babies to feed them a diet where there is no added sugar. So why do we hit a point where we go, yeah, we're at a certain age, let's just eat sugar? Our body is no different from when it's weeny to when it's big. It's the same body, it's the same physiology, it has the same needs. So why do we not adopt for ourselves the advice of no added sugar? Sugar has been deemed harmful to the development of babies. So why are we suddenly shifting away and giving our child sugar? Or when we get older, we think it's okay to have sugar. And I talk about not eating sugar, and people go, oh, where do you get your energy from? I'm like, food, fat, protein. You do not need to eat sugar to have energy. In fact, we get more energy just from our body doing its thing than we do from food. It makes no sense because we're told that you need food for energy. It's not entirely true, but that's another story and not what I'm talking about today. I'll try and stay on topic. So We've seen what happens to kids, how they go off when they have too much sugar, how we, and then crash and burn. It's a drug. Sugar acts as a poison to our body. It's crazy. So let's look at the fat guidelines. Let's look at the reverse of that. We are told not to limit fat for babies. Fat is critical for their brain and body development, and it's the same for the elderly and infirm. They need more fat. So why are we proponents of low fat and high sugar? The guidelines make no sense. We're saying no sugar for babies, fat for babies. We are no different from babies. We should treat our body as if we were newborn babies and we were precious, because we are. We know that sugar increases the risk of tooth decay. So, if sugar can rot the hardest thing in our body, our tooth enamel, what's it doing internally? What's it doing to our organs? Sugar is also highly addictive. It has the same effect on our brain as it does when you take cocaine. So once we get a hit of sugar, we actually want more of it, and we need to have more of it to create exactly the same high. So you might start with 5 teaspoons of sugar a day equivalent, and then to get that same rush, you now need 10, 15, 20 hits of sugar. It's insane. Another thing that I find is really insane is diabetics. Why are we feeding diabetics sugar? Why are we saying to them, eat sugar, when they don't have the ability to control their blood sugar? It's confusing. This is a mixed message. And this is the problem now with nutrition. There are so many mixed messages out there. People don't know what to do for the best. They're really, really confused. And they tell me, I eat a really healthy diet, Dr. Rachel. Yet they've got tooth decay, they've got gum disease, and they've got shocking health issues. And when we dig deeper, they're eating what's called a standard American or standard Australian diet. It's too much carb, there's not enough fat, and they're just getting empty calories. Whew. So, mixed messages around nutrition. People genuinely believe you need carbs and sugar for energy when, as I mentioned earlier, you don't. Telling. We have things called essential fats and essential amino acids, which are the building blocks for protein. Essential means that if you don't eat them, you can't make them. You get sick and you will die from not having the right fats and not having the right essential amino acids, because we cannot make them for ourselves. Yet there are zero, none, nada, zilch, no essential sugars. Our body can make its sugars. It doesn't need to consume them. It converts fat and protein into the sugars that it needs to create and produce energy in the body. So it's very telling that we have essential fats, essential amino acids, but no essential sugars. That tells us what our body does and doesn't need to function well and to be healthy. So the simple message is this: eat real food. Eat food that is fresh, eat food that is local where you can and in season. Vegetables, fruit, meat, fish, eggs, chicken. Fresh fruit is sugar, and it will turn directly into fat, because we have developed a mechanism that sets us up to store sugar as fat, because we don't get sugar all year round if we eat seasonally. By all means, have fruit, but don't have too much. 1 or 2 pieces a day and have what's in season. I'm going to recommend a diet that's low in carbohydrate, has no added sugar, has good oils as they occur in nature, not processed or polyunsaturated oils like canola. You want things like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, the oils from nuts and seeds, the oils and fats that you get in meat, for example. So the main key is to live the way nature intended for us. It's to care for our body now so our health doesn't suffer in the future. And look, it's easy to think, particularly when you're younger, that you're going to get away with it. And like, I still think I'm not middle-aged, and like, I've got grey hairs to prove that I am. And but in my mind, I am not, and I feel amazing. I feel like I'm still in my 20s, but my body will age. That is part of life's processes. But how it ages is down to how we care for it, how we look after it, how we treat it, how we are emotionally, how we look after ourselves physically, and what we eat play a big part. There is more to health than just these things, but these are our basics. So if you want to have good health now and you don't want your health to suffer in the future, you have the power to make the choices about how you're going to care for your body and what you're going to put in it. You have the power to choose how to live and how to treat your body. If you listen to your body and what it needs, you won't go far wrong. And you're going to be able to prevent and avoid many of our modern day health conditions, as well as tooth decay and gum disease. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Dr. Rachel Hall, holistic dentist from Brisbane, Australia, and this is the Dental Zone podcast. If you want to know more, hop on over to holisticdentistry.au. If you'd like to see me for a consultation to be your dentist, then give my clinic in Brisbane a call on 0737201811. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you've got some really good and useful tips and ideas from this. And until next time, stay in the zone. You've been listening to the Dental Zone podcast with Dr. Rachel Hall. For health, lifestyle, fitness, and a great smile, get in the zone.